Installing your floor the right way can make or break a project. So today we are covering some of the biggest flooring mistakes in the market so you can avoid them during your commercial flooring projects. So installing a floor isn't as easy as you would think. It's not just putting down the material on the subfloor and there you go. Or if you already think it is unrealistically hard to put down a floor, then it's my job today to show you that it's not all that bad. We'll think of the subfloor as our canvas and the floor as the paintbrush. Which, speaking of subfloor, that will be our first point to cover, so let's go. So a subfloor or subfloor management is something you can't hide from no matter how hard you try. The subfloor is gonna get you. So yes, to be honest, a subfloor might be done by someone else and could be totally out of your control. Heck, the subfloor could be there from 60 years ago for all we know. However, what you do to that subfloor before you install the layer right above it is totally in your control. And you'll need to take total control of it as well. Because a messed up subfloor or a subfloor that you don't really think much about before you install could just totally ruin your work. And unless it's you pointing fingers, no one is going to be pointing the blame at the subfloor installer. It's going to be all on the contractor. So you might as well take the necessary steps to make sure that subfloor is up to par for your flooring. I think the easiest step to start with subfloor management is, well, cleaning the dang thing. Seems simple enough, right? But you'd be surprised. But in all seriousness, this minor problem could lead to some catastrophic flooring. So it might take some time, but cleaning the subfloor really doesn't take that much time out of the project, and making sure it's up to standards will just make your flooring look even better. Finally, and the biggest step to mention with subflooring is make sure it's leveled. You can definitely take this into control and making sure every single area is level, because this could really cause some problems down the line with your flooring. So just eliminate it, make sure everything's level. Don't just assume the person who put in the subfloor did their job the right way. Just double check. So this next step might seem pretty simple, but how obvious is it? Really? We're talking about measuring, people. Now, every company does their own measuring of the space they're going to be installing. It's not just all in the customer's word or measurements. And anyone, well, almost anyone can measure out a space and find out the right amount of materials for it. And knowing the material and picking out the right material for that space, it's pretty self-explanatory. We talk about it all the time on this channel. But when you think back to 8th grade and you're thinking about science class, what exactly is that term that is always brought up? Oh yeah, margin of error. Yes, there needs to be some sort of error built into your measurements. And if you only bring the exact amount of materials for the exact measurements and there is one of these errors, which does happen from time to time, you could have a real problem on your hands. Obviously, costs play a big factor, and you don't want to buy an abundant amount of materials and then have an abundant leftover that just sits around. That's not great either. However, you could ultimately eliminate time and money by buying extra. Again, knowing the right amount of extra to buy is very key. But in today's landscape, you just never know. Say you can't finish a job because you don't have the right amount of materials, you measured everything right, but one of those unforeseen errors happen, and then you get put on a waiting list with your manufacturer and you just can't get the materials in time. Then you're holding up other contractors for that commercial space, and it could be a real disaster on your hands. So just make sure you're communicating with your vendor, your manufacturer, your own employees, and making sure that error is built into your measurements. This one is super simple. It's so simple that it goes like this. Understand the products you are installing. That is a must. And what I mean by this is once they're installed, what's the adjustment period? Some products are 24 hours you have to wait before any weight can go on them, and some are 72 plus. And 72 hours might seem extreme, but with some products, that's just the way it is. And if you think about it from a commercial or even a residential lens, you're not the only contractor in there. Flooring might get put down, but then there might be other contractors coming in that might need to know if they can walk on the space or not. So it's a great deal of communication and understanding your install tactics. If your flooring product needs 72 hours of rest and then the commercial furniture company comes in and puts furniture on that floor, you're going to have a real flooring nightmare on your hands. So simply enough, you have to understand your floor, understand what you're installing, and know how to communicate it with other contractors. And ultimately, in the long run, you'll save a lot of headaches, you'll save a lot of time, and you'll save a lot of money by understanding those adjustments and that project schedule, everybody. And speaking of install tactics, know how to install your floors the right way. Study up, everybody. It is important in this industry. Now again, in an industry like flooring, especially commercial flooring, you would think that most people would know how to install the materials, which is very true. There's a lot of trainings all the time, and there's a lot of great contractors all across the globe, especially in Starnet's network. But in the commercial flooring world, there's new materials and subcategories all the time trying to break into the trends and be the next hot thing in commercial flooring to fit that need. Which honestly, that's just business, but commercial flooring is just awesome. The things you can do is just amazing, but I'll keep going on install tactics. But the whole reason I went on that soapbox in the first place was there is a lot of new materials and you need to understand how to install them. A type of vinyl that was created in 2022 and then a different type of vinyl that was created in 2024 might be very similar but have totally different install tactics that you need to understand, or you're just gonna waste a lot of time, money, and have a lot of headache from the customer. So ultimately, make sure your employees are understanding the right tactics and following trainings. Having to go back to a job to fix something is just a total waste of time and money. Employees that don't want to get yelled at, or potentially worse, make sure you're adapting to the training and reading up on install tactics. And customers, ultimately your only job is to hire the right installer for your commercial space. Seems easy enough if you ask me. Well everyone, we did it again. And if you're asking yourself what is it? Well, it's saving time and money and learning how to do it the best way in commercial flooring. And how exactly did we save time and money? By, well, learning how to avoid some of the biggest mistakes in the space. Gotta manage your subfloor the right way, whether that means cleaning or leveling it out. We understand the floor and know the proper install tactics. And finally, measure, 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 and understand your room for error. Now, if that all makes sense to you, I would love to see some comments down below, along with hitting those like and subscribe buttons if you learned something throughout the video. But for real, leave a comment and let us know what we should cover next in the flooring world. But for now, I hope to see you all in the next flooring video. Take care, everybody.